Hello, thank you for joining this video. Here we'd like to take a look at the password page for a Shopify store. So keep in mind this password page works for when your store is still in development, but you still want to share the access to the web page with some of your team members, for example, your developers, designers, and so on. So first of all, we need to go to our theme customizer, and from here, let's click here to choose our page. So we scroll down to others, and here we choose the password page. So this password page is static, it's added initially, you don't need to add it to your theme, as it's already added in here. So from here we have the password header, we have the password content, this is the main content here, and the password footer. So here it is. So let's start with the password header. As you can see, it says enter using password here. So now let's click on the password header, and we can first of all change the button label. So it says enter using password. You can of course rename it to anything in here. Next, we can also add the logo. So for example, let's just simply add our logo here. And now as you can see, we have this logo in here. We can also change the logo white. So for example, we can change it smaller, or instead we can make it bigger, like here. So let's just make it something like this. Next, we see the pop-up that appears when we want to enter our password. So if we go to our actual page here, and when we click on enter using password, as you can see, this is the pop-up we'll be taking a look at. So first of all, it says enter store using password. We can of course once again rename it here. In the input placeholder it says your password. Of course we can also rename it, for example, just enter password here, for example. Then we have the button label that says enter. So once again, when we go to our store here, this is the button label enter. You can also rename it. And here we also have the bottom text, which we can see in here. The store owner login here. And as you can see, we have the login here already linked to the login to your Shopify admin panel. So for example, if you want to go to your admin panel instead of the store. Next, we can also change the colors. So we have the section background. So for example, we can change it to any color that we want. As you can see, our header is now this gray color. And we can also change the section text. For example, we can make it white. We can also change the pop-up text. So for example, if we change it to this red here, and here when we click on enter, as you can see, our text is now red, as we've changed it just now. And we can also change the pop-up background. So let's also change this one to this gray color. And as you can see, we now have this gray background pop-up. And we also have the input text. Here is the input border, pop-up button label, which is in here, as you can see, and pop-up button background. So here it is. And these are all of the settings that we have for the password header. So now let's move on to our password content here. So first of all, if we click on it, we see the opening soon. Once again, you can of course change this text. Next, we have the text be the first to know when we launch. So here it is. You can of course change this text. You can also add links, maybe to your other stores, for example, to your Instagram page, anything like this. So for example, we can also add follow us text. Now let's copy, just as an example, our YouTube link, and let's now just choose this text. Let's make it bold and let's insert link. So in here, as you can see, we can add the internal links and external. So for internal, you can add the blog page, for example, or anything that you want. But for external links, the HTTP or HTTPS should be entered. So we've just added our YouTube link, and maybe we'd like it to be open in the new window. So then we click on insert. And now, as you can see, we have this text in here. And the success message thanks for subscribing. So once someone enters their email, then they'll get this thanks for subscribing success text. Next, we can also choose to show form. So for example, when we move here, and if let's just enter just an email here. And when we click here, as you can see, this is our thanks for subscribing text. Now let's return to page content. However, if we click on disable this form, then as you can see, we no longer have our subscribe form. So let's now return it. As you can see, now we can subscribe for the updates. Next, we get the input placeholder. It says email. For example, we can of course enter your email. Just feel free to modify this text to whatever you want. Next, also this button area label, submit. This is this button, but keep in mind that area label means that this is a need for good accessibility. So for example, for people that have hard time with reading, they can request for the web page to be audible for them, and they'll just know what this button means. So this means that you click on submit. Next, we can also choose the background image. So feel free just to add any image that you want. So for example, let's look through our images. You can of course add anything. Let's just add this one, for example. And now as you can see, we have the image on the background, and we can also choose the background for the mobile. So right now, once we have the image for the background for the desktop, if we switch to mobile, we see the exact same image. However, for example, maybe you would like to get another image for the mobile. You just simply click here. Now let's maybe choose this image here. And now when we switch to the mobile version, as you can see, another picture shows up. So from here, you can either choose the same picture, which we've added in here, or choose another one for the mobile. So next here we have the colors. So we have the overlay. Maybe you've noticed that these images, they are a little bit dark because we have this linear gradient overlay. You can of course remove it, or we can just simply change the percentage here. So for example, let's change it to 15 here, and maybe let's change it to 20 here. Let's leave it here 20. And now when we open our images, so as you can see, they are a bit lighter, or you can even remove this gradient. Just click here, then to CSS, and here remove gradient. And now as you can see, our pictures don't have any overlay on them. We can also choose the color background. So right now we have the image, so there is no need for us to change the color, as we'll not be able to see it. And we can change the color of the heading. So for example, let's choose this one here. Now, as you can see, we have another color. So from here, feel free to change the description color, the input text, the input border, just add any color that you want. And the last thing in here that we have is the layout. So for example, as you can see, we don't have any spacing between our header, our footer, and this content. So for example, we can increase the desktop offset for the top. As you can see, we now have this spacing, and the same can be done for the mobile. So when we switch now to the mobile, as you can see, we have this spacing here, or we can just simply remove it, but we can add it to the bottom, for example. As you can see, we now have more space there. And now let's move on to our password footer, the last step that we have for our password page. So let's click on password footer, and in here everything is very simple. We have just the text. Are you the store owner? Login here. So of course this is for you, for the store owner. If you want to go to your Shopify admin panel, once again, here it's added via the link. You can just simply click on login here, and it will lead you to login to your Shopify admin panel. And we can once again change the text. So of course you can change it to any color that you'd prefer. We can change the background, so we can also make it this grayish color like here, and we can also change the top border. So if we go back here to the password content, and in the desktop offset bottom, if we add some spacing, then we see this border color here. So we can change this color to white or to the color to match our background. So for example, let's do it like here. And now as you can see, the border is not visible because it's the same color as the background. And now let's save our changes and just simply take a look at our page here. So let's just refresh the page, and as you can see, we've changed the colors of the backgrounds here. We've added the image here. We also have this form in here, and we can of course submit our email for like the newsletter for information, and we can also click on the link we've added before, which leads to our YouTube channel, and we can also enter using password, and as you can see here we have this pop-up. So this is how you just set up this password page, the header, the footer, and the main content. However, here as well as the password content, as you can see, we have the add blog button. By clicking on it, we can add custom liquid, so any code that you would like to add for this page if you wanted to customize it, or we can also add sections. So for example, we can click on add sections. Maybe we'd like to show some images. For example, let's add this grid images section, and as you can see, it's added in here. So just as an example, let's add any pictures that we have to here. This is our first grid image, and now let's add it to the second one. So of course, from here you can also add some text. As you can see, we can also add the link. So for example, if we add the link maybe that leads to, let's add the collection, or of course you can also check your YouTube channel, for example, and we can add this external link as well. So we've added it to our this pink image. So now let's save our changes and let's take a look at the page once again. So now as you can see, we have these images here, and since we've added the link to this one, we see it zoom in on hover like here. And this is it. You can add any section that you want to this page, of course, or just leave it without any additional sections and just have it as it is. Thank you very much for your time. If you have any questions, feel free to contact our support team. We're always here to help you. And don't forget about our theme manual, where you can also find all of this information in here. Thank you very much for your time. Take care. Bye.